Yes.
Okay, everybody hear us? Now hearing. All right. I can't believe it. I pulled this up. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is walk over to my office because all of this setup is in Jamie's office. And Jamie is out teaching Pony Club. And in a few minutes, the whole place will be crowded with the next Pony Club people, and it will be a zoo. So I don't want to be here. All right? And I don't know if you've noticed on the ranch camera, I moved the ranch camera, that the Pony Club today is riding bareback. Yes, and I remember as a girl. Do you remember riding bareback as a girl, Cowgirl?
When I first started riding, my father wouldn't let me ride in a saddle. He was afraid that I might get my legs caught in the stirrups and be drugged, so he'd rather have me fall off than get drugged by the horse.
Oh, yeah.
I rode bareback for many years.
Well, you know, I think that's where you really develop your balance and your feel of the horse, don't you?
Oh, yes, with your knees. In fact, my one horse, I could turn him with my knees if I was bareback.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
You have really good memories of your horses, don't you?
Oh, you know, they're in my heart. That's the thing, and they never have left. It's been so many years, you know, and it was a small part of my whole 76 years, but it was one that'll never leave me.
Yeah, horses are wonderful. All right, so I am now in my office, and I'm going to get on the chat so I can read the chat and make sure that people are hearing us. And let's move over, everybody, to the special topics chat so that I don't have to keep track of two chat rooms. So here I am. Okay, I'm going to tell people, come on over here. All right, move to the special topics chat.
Okay, I'm over there. I'm watching. I know Celia asked me a couple questions the other day about what I miss most about Montana. And I just miss the freedom that I had there. You know, growing up, you have lots of freedom. And then as you grow older and have more responsibilities, it kind of goes away. So Montana was always my free space.
Well, I just was looking through my photos, Cowgirl, and you don't mind me calling you Cowgirl, or how would you like me to?
You can call me, my name's
Linda. All right. I didn't know what you wanted me to call you. But I was, and I don't know if you were here last year, but I started a tradition called Exit Wednesdays. I try to get away from the place on Wednesdays and go and have a little adventure. And I took an adventure up in your part of the world. And I think I have some photos that I could share with people. One of the things I'd like you to tell people is, what is Maurice? Tell us about him.
Where we lived was on the Flathead Indian Reservation. It was Nez Perce, not Nez Perce. It was Flathead. And
yeah, let me check again.
Sure. I can hear you. I'm just watching what they're what they're typing.
Yeah, I have not yet mastered it, and I've been gone with.
What I see is the camera on the ranch cam keeps reloading and reloading, and that may be part of the problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna let's see. Let me tell people to use just the ranch camera. Use just the ranch camera, and turn off the Nest camera. Missing most of the talk. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Now I just posted a picture on the chat of your part.
Now it's gone.
Everyone has lost colors in this chat. Okay, well.
Oh, mine's got color. Oh, and look at the missions. They got snow all over them. There's a Flathead River.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
can people hear? Oh, this is terrible.
Oh. Well, my colors were still there, so.
Let's just get the sound system operative. Okay. On and off says, wow, it must be the transmission.
Yeah.
Hearing you mostly. Hearing now, yeah. Be sure, yeah. Went to the range camera. I can only hear, but on the camera. Hearing on and off now. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the photo that I just posted, so people can go back to it. This is your country, is it not?
Yes, it is. As you went to the bison range, there was a overpass, a railroad overpass, and if you turned underneath it and drove, maybe 2 miles, you would drop into the Moe's Valley.
Yes.
And that's where we lived. And this is a beautiful picture of the Mission Range and the Flathead River.
Yes.
So
yes, exactly. Well, you got it spot on. You know your country, don't you? So where did you ride?
Where did I ride?
Yes.
Well, St. Ignatius had Omoxie's, Arlee, Ronan. I rode mostly in Ronan and St. Ignatius. I only rode once in Arlee. In Ronan, they had what they call Pioneer Days, and they had rodeo, and that's where I rode barrel racing. In St. Ignatius, I did pole bending mostly. So that
Can
was
you
another thing.
Can you explain to our chatters what barrel racing entails?
Well, it entails 3 barrels. They're set in like a clover. There are 2, one on the left, one on the right, and then one in the front. And as you go, you do a clover leaf around one. Here I am waving my arms in the air, and nobody can see me. Anyway, I'm directing here. You'll ride around one barrel, around the other one, and it makes a clover leaf. And when you come back out, the thing is, when you go around those barrels, you have to be as tight as possible so your horse will make it quick. And like I said I think to you, my horse Spade would go down so low that my leg would drag on the ground as he went around the barrels. And one time he said,
people should look that up on the web, barrel racing. There are a lot of good photos on the internet of people barrel racing, and it is an extremely exciting sport. And for years, it was the only sport that women could participate in rodeos. Was that not true?
That was true. During the rodeo time, I did have during the rodeos. I would sit on the fence where they would release the roping steers and the bulldogging steers, and my job was to take a cattle prod and make sure that the calf or the steer got out in time with the rider. And that was something that I also did. And excuse me. Oh, I get to rambling on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, ask.
No, please do ramble on. That's exactly what we want of you. So, was your family a ranching family? Is that what your dad and mom did?
No, we were kind of a mixed breed family. We were farmers, but my father also worked on the Daily Missoulian. He was a printer.
Oh, wow.
And so mostly my mother and I did the farming. He would be home on the weekends. When we lived in Missoula, he was home every day. But then when we moved to the ranch, we called it the ranch, it was a farm, he would come on the weekends and stay. He lived with his brother during the week in Missoula. So my mother and I did most of it.
And what did you farm?
Well, we did a small patch of sugar beets.
Wow.
We raised hay.
Uh-huh.
Had two big gardens. We had a kitchen garden and a canning garden. And so that was what we did. My job was to do the watering. I used to lay pipe and put dams in the ditches to make sure they watered the alfalfa. And
so you had a gravity feed irrigation system.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
boy, that's hard work. All of that is hard work.
Oh, well, yeah, I think in the picture you can see I was out in the sun a lot. My face has got a lot of stuff on it from all the sun I was in over the years.
Yeah.
But the other
Did you have any
chat? On chat, they were discussing, beans and peas and stuff, and that was one of my biggest memories, was sitting with my mother and shelling peas and snapping beans to can. But we also had animals. We had cows and pigs, and we butchered our own, so that was another thing I was involved in.
Did you have any siblings?
I was the baby. My mother had been married before, and she had 3 sons. And when she married my dad, I was theirs. And my youngest brother was 13 years older than I am, so I was kind of by myself. Both of my oldest brother was in the Japanese prison camp for 4 years.
Oh my!
That was
wow.
Yeah. But we had I had an older sister who was really a cousin, but my mother died, so she was like my sister, but she was older. And when she would come over and we share our garden, and that's kind of how her and her family lived, was off our garden.
Wow. One of the things that people who are not from Montana don't understand is that whole Flathead Valley up there, particularly around the Plains area, is a really good place for truck gardens, including things like melons. The Dixon melons, were they growing them then when you were there?
Yes, we also had an orchard that had plums and apricots and pie cherries and all that. We had a lot of fruit.
Wow.
That was.
So your mother was the one who taught you horseback riding more than your dad?
Oh, no, I kind of taught myself. My mom was afraid of horses.
Wow.
My dad, though, wasn't. My father had been a sheep herder in the Black Hills for many years when he was young, and he was kind of a cowboy. I've posted pictures of him on my Facebook page. But, my first recollection of riding was I was about 5 years old, and my father bought me a pony. And he put me on the pony, and he was leading it, so I didn't know how to ride yet. And he was walking away, and he turned around, and there was no me. Thing of butting me off of my head.
Oh my goodness!
At the end of the pony, he got. And then when I was about 6.5, we bought the big old Perch horse for me.
And he must have been a big guy, 17 hands or more?
Yeah. And she was, in fact, I had her till I was like 20. And and then when I moved to California, I sold her, but I actually gave her to this family with these children because she loved children, and they could do anything with her.
And this was the horse you named Goldie?
Oh, yeah, and then there was Spade. I got Spade from my boyfriend. He knew I wanted to do barrel racing because I had talked to him about it. So he gave me this horse. He was a paint, but I was told that he was part Morgan. But he was beautiful. And
compact. Morgans are real compact. They would kind of shorten it out.
Yeah, and he was quick. He was really quick and really smart. Once once I came out and headed towards those barrels, all I didn't go, and he was really quick. But then he foundered, and we had to put him down.
Oh, how awful. You know, a lot of our chatters are not familiar with horses, and when you barrel race, you have to do what's called change the lead of the horse.
Oh, yes, yes.
And
yes.
Why don't you explain that to our chatters, because it's a really difficult thing. Barrel racing is very, very technical, and people who do it well really have to put in a great deal of practice with their horse. But explain what it means to change the lead.
A change of lead means which foot is in front as you go around. You have to have the correct foot in front, or your horse is not going to go around the barrel. He's going to go the other direction. And, you know, in the days when I was riding, this was way before all the technical and wonderful stuff that they have now about horses. You know, my horses were raised just out in the pasture. I've seen icicles hanging off them, you know.
Right.
So it wasn't like it is now. And I wasn't technical. The horse just knew that his right foot had to be in front sometimes, and his left foot had to be in the other times. And it was just, you just did it. I don't know how to actually explain it.
Well, I agree with you, Linda, that, you know, nowadays it's gotten very technical, and people do a lot more arena riding than we ever did as kids. Nobody did that.
No.
And the horses, if it was a good barrel horse, he figured it out pretty quick. He couldn't do it correctly if he didn't change his lead, or he would, you know, they could actually fall over if they tried to go too fast in the wrong lead.
Well, I went down a couple times.
Pardon?
So I went down a couple times. You know, his feet went out from under him, and I went down. I had bad bruises, and my worst accident, though, was when I was, they call it vaulting now, where you ride standing up on the horse.
Yeah.
And so in those days, they didn't call it vaulting. They just called it showing off. So,
sure enough.
So my girlfriend and I were out riding, and I told her I can do this. And we were bareback that time, and I was 13. So I got my horse Goldie going, and I got up on her, and she started to gallop. She knew what to do because I'd done it before. And as we were going, there was kind of a tree to the side, and I shifted my weight, and I went off over her right shoulder. And all I remembered at that moment was seeing her jump and go over the top of me. And so I jumped up, and I was going to run and grab her. And as I took a step, my ankle was already broken. Well, the bone came out and went down into the ground.
Oh, my goodness.
So my girlfriend came back, and I said, well, get me back up on the horse. So she got me up. I was sitting side saddle on her, you know, just sitting on the side. And she rode to the nearest house to call my mom. So they came to get me, and my mom almost fainted because my foot was hanging straight down. She thought it was coming off. And so I spent like 10 days in the hospital. They put screws in, not like they do now, because I'm crippled now because of it. But I was out of school for 6 months.
Wow. I'm sure it bothers you now. You must have arthritis in it.
I do. And I've got, nowadays they would have put the pin in the other side of my ankle, and I wouldn't have had any problems. But in those days, that was like 1953.
Right.
They just put me back together the best they could.
Right. Exactly. Wow, you're one hardy lady. So, I do remember those riding days. I had a friend who had a horse out at the stockyards and the slaughterhouses. I worked at the slaughterhouse when I was in grade school because I would get paid, you know, and we would, get up on the second floor bareback. It was just crazy. It was just, people just did the craziest things. And we came flying off. But that's the way it was there, sure. Now, I can see that our chatters are interested in your cowgirl. So tell them about Omoxes and Gincana. And pole bending. Explain those. Well, you can see up on the web too. There are pictures of people doing pole bending, and Omoxes. But these are all horse games.
Yes. Well, when I was young, first of all, we had a clubhouse in Moise that we belonged to the Saddle Club. We had a saddle club, and they had set up pole bending in the back. So that's where I practiced. We went, through the poles. It's kind of like when you see the dogs go through those poles, when you see in those...
In the obstacle courses, when you go through quickly, weave your way through.
Yes, and that's how you did it with the horse. And that was another thing Spade picked up on really quick. He knew how to do that. And we had, when I was with Omoxie, I think it was just beginning, because it was mostly barrel racing, pole bending. And it was the only ones, but it wasn't like it was at the rodeos when I rode at the rodeos in St. Ignatius and Ronan. But the pole bending was why I liked it. And
it's more exciting for the audience. It's more exciting for the audience, too.
I think about it and go, oh, my God, kids do that. That was weird.
So, Linda, I was interested. You wrote me a few little things about you, and your mother was born in the Netherlands and came to Ellis Island in 1905. What brought her to Montana?
Well, my grandparents were itinerant farmers in the Netherlands. They worked on other people's farms.
Yeah.
And so this one family had moved to South Dakota, and so they sponsored my grandparents to come over. So the first place they landed was in South Dakota, and they worked farms there. And then they lived on in Rosebud, Montana, not on the Rosebud Reservation, which is in South Dakota, but they lived in Rosebud, Montana.
Right.
And so Mama only went to the 4th grade because she had to work at home, in the farm. They had a little farm. They were kind of like sharecroppers.
But that's where she learned all of her skills to be a wonderful farmer and truck farmer, did she not?
Oh, yes, and she was the best cook oh my goodness. Because until I was like 7 or 8, we only had a wood cook stove in the house. We didn't have inside plumbing. We didn't have inside plumbing until my brother came back from the prison camp, because he got an allotment for being in prison, and he put bathroom and running water in the house then.
And what year was that?
So, 1945.
Yeah. Well, Montana didn't have electricity until the 40s. Yeah, very primitive. Well, my grandmother, came to Ellis Island in the 1890s from Sweden. Mm-hmm. So I love having that heritage. It excites me to know that I'm from stock who had the nerve to get on a boat and send themselves out across the ocean to a place they, knew they would never come home. That takes a lot of courage for a young person.
That's right, especially, my grandmother had 5 children she brought with her. My mother was the youngest.
Oh, my.
There were 5 children, and her husband had gone ahead like 6 months before to settle in, and then he had them brought over.
Wow.
So it was, my grandmother was than anybody I ever knew. She came to Montana from Ohio. She was living back east at the time when she was like 85. She rode the train to Montana, and it was like in canning time. And my mother, she wore my mother out. My mother said, "I'm so glad she left. I'm so tired." she had her just working herself to death.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, there's a work ethic for those people who are, in Europe that were really struggling for a better life, and when they came to the United States, they really poured it on, didn't they?
Oh yes, my father's family came to the United States in the 1600s. He was originally from New York, but I have pictures of them living, him and his mom and his grandmother and his brothers living in a tent in Wyoming when they came west. And my father, I said, a sheep herder in the Black Hills for many years when he was young. And so both sides have been very strong in my family.
So, yeah, it sounds like it, for sure. How did you meet your first husband from Hawaii? Where did you meet him?
I met him in San Diego. I had left the ranch and gone to San Diego to seek my fortune. I was tired of living in Montana, and I thought so one of my older brothers was living in San Diego with his family, so I moved there. And my husband was living up the street with his uncle, and that's how we met. And we dated for about a year almost, and then we got married and moved back to Hawaii. But he got claustrophobic there. I thought it was wonderful, but he said, "I can't stand it here anymore. Let's go back to the mainland." So we came back, and I had a little girl who passed away young, and then I had my two boys, and then he passed away. And so I raised them and remarried, and he passed away with a brain tumor, so it's just me now and the boys.
Wow. You've had a very challenging life, and you've completely met every challenge, cowgirl. You're a remarkable woman.
Well, you know what my mother taught me, and I've always done this. You just get up and you put one foot in front of the other, and you keep going. And that's what I've always done, and it served me well,
Yeah, there really isn't much choice, is there? I mean, you either that or you curl up and die, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not the kind that curls up and die.
Right. Yeah, well, clearly, you've got strong genes and strong fortitude, and you are more than a survivor. You have a timber of enthusiasm in your place, cowgirl. I mean, you're still living strong. It just and even though you've had a challenging life, you've come to a place in your life where you're still just as strong as ever, it seems to me. So tell me about your second husband.
Well, my second husband, I met him through my boys. My boys played ice hockey, and he was their coach, and he didn't need any other district waste management. And I was working at the University of California here in Santa Cruz. And so we married, and we retired and thought, we're going to buy us a place with a little property. So we moved out of California to Nevada to this little town called Fernley.
Where's that?
It's about 35 miles east of Reno.
Okay. So northern Nevada.
Yeah, and so we bought this place with like an acre, half acre, a little more than a half acre. And we thought we had, lived the rest of our lives there, and then after 5 years he got sick with a brain tumor. And we moved back here because his kids and my kids were both here. So he passed away here. And my boys, they both said, "Mom, you want to come live with us?" And I said, no. I said, as long as I can live on my own, I'm going to live on my own, which I'm doing. I said, maybe someday I'll have to, but not until, they have to drag me out on a stretcher. I'm not going to move in with my kids. I did take care of my mother and my second husband's mother and father when they were old and needed help. You know, they lived with us. So,
Wow.
anyway, I know how hard it is when you, and she has been my strength. So I have to give her kudos because, you know, everybody needs somebody. I got my kids and everything, but you need that one person that you can always cry on their shoulder, or they kind of hold you up. So I wanted to mention her because she's my.
I so agree with you, Cowgirl. An important woman friend. There's nothing quite like it. You know, because your relatives, there's always a mixture of responsibility in with everything else. And if you have somebody you can just go to and help sort of think about things and discuss things and come to some clarity and to some understanding within yourself, it's really helpful, isn't it?
Oh, you know it. When my second husband was dying with brain cancer, it was really, really hard. And she propped me up. I could complain, you know, because it was hard, and I had a lot of complaints, and I didn't want to say anything around any of the kids or anything. But she was there, and she talked me through it. She's so calm, and I get kind of flighty, but she grounded me through the whole thing, and that was a blessing.
Where does she live, Linda?
She lives in Pocatello, Idaho.
Pocatello. Oh, that's not all that far away. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so I've had a long life, and I've enjoyed it, and I've come through it, and I'm just happy I'm still here.
And I understand you have several grandchildren, but you have two kind of new grandchildren, 9 and 6.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about them? They'll keep you young.
Oh, I do a lot with them. I take them to school, and I take them to their ball games sometimes, and to gymnastics. They're both involved in lots. That's my younger son's children. He was married before, and he had an older girl who is now 20. She goes to Stanford, and then he remarried. He remarried a Korean girl who is a doctor, and they live here not far from me. And so I have always told my kids, I can't give you money. I don't have any money, but I can always give you free babysitting. So that's my job in life. Anytime they need me, I'm there. And both of them are good, but my granddaughter and I are hooked at the hip. She is the sweetest little thing. So.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Yeah. But there's something, I don't have any grandchildren yet. I'm hoping that someday I will. But I've been told that they're even better than children, that you get all of the love and none of the responsibility. So.
It's true. Both of my boys have told me, Mom, you treat them a lot better than you did us.
Yeah.
Well, they're sweet little children. You guys were little monsters. Two little boys.
Yeah, it can be special. Yeah. I always thought, though, that, in almost every culture, it was the grandparents who did raise the grandchildren, because you look at the, native cultures, the younger people, the adults, were out, hunting and fishing and all of that, and so the grandparents were home to take care of the grandchildren, and I think we really messed that up in our really mobile society where, lots of grandparents don't have the joy that you do of being, really involved in your grandkids' life.
Well, that's Hawaiian style, too. The grandchildren are always raised by the grandparents in Hawaii, or they always were. And so that is kind of rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
And a good thing with my boys, when I take care of the kids, they both have told me, Mom, when you're with them, you're the boss, you do whatever you want to. They trust me that much. It is,
well,
Mom, don't do this, or don't do that.
Right. Yeah, that's important, don't you think?
It is, because I don't, some of the rules that some people have, to me, are silly. But then mine are probably silly to other people. But my boys know how I raise them, so they approved of that, so I guess they approve of how I raise their kids when I have them.
Well, and, children are smart. They completely understand that there are different roles and different contexts in their life, and they're going to face that forever. You don't have to be a duplicate of their parents at all. You can be looser in some areas and more strict in others. They get that.
Oh, I know. My favorite thing is whenever the two of them love each other, but they fight.
Sure.
You know how little kids are. And all I have to say to them is, do I have to get up and come over there? And that ends everything. So Danny always tells me, Mom, do I have to get up and come over there and take care of you too? Anyway, it's a good life. It's a good life. I don't have a whole lot. I went from my house in Fernley, which was 2,300 square feet, down to my apartment, which is about 900. So I'm not a hoarder. I got rid of a lot of stuff.
But are you glad? I mean, is it nice to live?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So much easier.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention one other thing I do. I'm a genealogist.
Ah.
And so that I have tracked my mother's family back into Holland, into the Netherlands, and my dad's family back into France and into England, in Scotland. So I do that. That's my hobby, is genealogy.
Wow. Have you ever had the opportunity to go back to Holland?
No, I haven't. The furthest back east I've ever been is to Ohio. I've spent most of my life just in the West. So, in Canada, I've been to Canada. I love Canada.
Yeah, I do too. Well, Cowgirl, this has just been really interesting talking with you, and I'd like to ask you what it is that you get from the Days at Dunrovin chat. What do you like about it?
I like how kind and nice everyone is to everyone. I was on another chat one day, on an owl chat, and the people were so rude I never went back. The people on this chat are friendly and they're kind to each other, and they're very knowledgeable. I have learned so much since I've been on Dunrovin about osprey. Oh, and I want to tell you one thing. I went through my pictures the other night because I have osprey pictures, and that's when I was in Fernley. I took these pictures of a nest and these birds, and I didn't know what they were. And now I look back, and it was an osprey nest. And I thought, gee, I liked them then, and I didn't even know who they were.
Well, you need to share it with us.
I will.
Yeah. And before you go, if I can find it, everybody has to be just a little bit patient with me because I'm working here. You sent me a...
Oh, my picture,
Yes, I'm going to post it. I'm going to bring it up on the chat.
Good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. This is a photo of Linda as a young woman when she was a writer, and it is just beautiful.
16 or 17 in that picture. I see Skyhawker with Marion, Ohio.
Marion, Ohio.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's a picture of Linda as a young woman, as a young cowgirl.
Yep.
Lovely. It's lovely.
How times have changed.
This has been fun.
Yes, it has. I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. My stomach was rolling. I was all nervous.
Oh, no. These are just phone conversations, you know?
Yeah.
It's fun when you just relax and, go where your mind takes you. But I think it's really good for us to learn a little bit about each other. It makes our friendship seem that even better, don't you think?
Oh, I do. And
good.
I just want everyone, one thing to know, if they want to see more of my life, you can go on my Facebook page, which is Linda Kamalani McIntyre. That's my name. I'll type it on here. So
yeah, type it on the.
Yes.
And people have been saying that you should write a book, and I agree, Cowgirl. You've had a most interesting life, and you've shown such resilience. That
Well, I'll tell you this. I am writing a book.
Oh, good.
Yes, I am. So that's been one of my things. I have like 150 pages that I have to edit so far.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What a project.
Yeah.
I haven't asked you how your health is now. You sound so vigorous. Are you feeling good?
Well, I have diabetes, but it's been under control for many years, so it's not a big problem. I have arthritis from all, like I said, I was all stove up. My ankle is bad. I had a crack in my back when I went down once. I have a shoulder that was hurt, and now I can't lift my left arm over my head, but I keep going, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You and me both. I can't put a saddle on anymore, but that's okay. I've got staff.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought if I had to lift a saddle and throw it up on a horse, I couldn't do it. I'd just have to crawl up there on the bareback.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has just been wonderful, and I really appreciate your willingness to share all this with you, Cowgirl.
Oh, and anytime, and I've been trying to type my name in here, and I'll do it after. I can't do it with one hand.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I get to talk to you, and I love everybody out there. And sometimes I say stuff on chat and forget to put a smiley face, so please don't ever get angry with me, because sometimes I say stuff off the wall. And it's not.
You know, I think that's one of the really wonderful things about the chat that has developed here is, you know, people are gracious and they're forgiving, and they don't take anything personal. You can't, you know. I mean, I'll be in the middle of a conversation, the phone will ring, somebody will come in, or I'll have a horse stand, and I just walk out, you know, and that's just the way it is at the chat. And, you know, I think as long as we keep up this as, you know, as our standard, as our culture, you know, it'll be a good thing for all of us.
Well, you know, I hope, I've mentioned this on chat before, I hope I get to come up to Montana this coming summer sometime, maybe in August. And I may drop if I'll let you know if I stop by and say hi.
Well, if you do, we're going to put you on the real porch swing so people can see you on camera.
Oh, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. And
that'll be wonderful.
I have a niece that has a ranch up at Phillipsburg, and then another cousin that has a place up on Kukanusu Lake up by the Canadian border, up by Recky.
Yeah, up by Liddy.
And I have people in Corvallis and Stevensville, and so I hope to get up there and see them. I'm going to pick up my girlfriend Katie and take her because she has, you know, we're both from up at Maui, so that's good.
Well, I would love to welcome you to the on-site, and just let me know when you're coming. And do you mind if I post your picture as a young woman on the blog along with the recording of this? Okay.
Please do. Okay. Thank you so much. Love everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. It's going to take me a minute to walk back to my office and unhook. Okay. So you have to think of one more really interesting fact to tell us. Okay? And one of the things that you...
I love dogs, too. I had a Mastiff that was the most beautiful, wonderful dog. I also had a Border Collie that was smarter than me. And I'm a dog lover, too. So it's one of my...
Now, Mastiff is a big dog.
Well, she weighed like 180 pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
So she was bigger than me. And she was another one that brought me through my husband's cancer, because she was always by me, always with me. So
wow. So you have good memories of that with him.
Yeah. Yes. But like I said, my Border Collie was the smartest thing I ever saw in my whole life.
Yeah, they seem to have been bred for smarts, don't you think?
Oh yes, she would. She saw me. I would clean the boys' room up and pick up their clothes and take them into the laundry room. Well, after I did it a couple times, she'd go in the morning, pick up all their clothes, and take them in the washroom.
Wow.
She would clean the house up for me. So.
Wow. What an interesting dog. Well, I'm going to sign off, everybody.
Okay.
And thank you all for chatting. And thank you so much for allowing me to call you and chat with you. And this is Suzanne and Cowgirl signing off. Bye.
Bye.